The dancer is Mattox, whom you may have seen perform, and brilliantly, in the movie 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. One of his recent Broadway appearances was in Say Darling, for which he also created the dances. It's in the triple role of teacher, choreographer, dancer that Mattox comes to Camera 3 today. The other dancers you will see are professionals who are studying with Mr. Mattox at his school in New York City. In the next half hour, we'll be seeing something of the method and the creative results of the jazz dance of Mattox.
Thank you, Jim. The version of modern jazz that you're about to see is strictly my own. But I want to make it clear right at the start that like most people in any art, I owe a great deal to someone else. My particular indebtedness is to Jack Cole. My method is strictly anatomical in its approach and is intended to make the dancer understand which muscles do the work to move each part of the body. So now, Jim, if you will, I'll let you take over my notes and I'll go and beat the drum.
Certainly, Matt. Deep breathing has 2 purposes in dance. First, to start the blood circulating more rapidly than it normally does, and second, to bring the dancers to the only really correct standing position, which is a straight line. Now the head and neck. They must be trained to move in a variety of ways. The aim is perfect muscular response to whatever demand the dancer may make of his body. Now, to complicate matters, arm movements. Doing 2 things at once forces a person to think and keeps the exercise from becoming mechanical. These movements have their origins in the dances of India and the Orient. Next, the shoulders, which must learn to work independently of the rest of the body. Arm movements are again added. Now a simple body contraction. Front. And side. Now an example of dance combination with emphasis on shoulder movement. After the shoulders, the chest or rib cage. It takes concentration on the part of the dancer to learn to move it from side to side and front and back, then in all directions. Again, the addition of arm movements to improve concentration. Then the waist. It cannot be moved as such, but it can twist and bend. The waist is a neutral zone dividing the upper and lower bodies, like the open space between the upper and lower parts of a puppet. Here are a few exercises in which the upper body and the lower body are kept specifically separate. Moving on down, the next part of the body is the pelvis. As with any other part of the body, the dancer must learn to isolate the hips, to move them with definition and discipline. With the legs, come balance. An eternal problem with the dancer, and a particularly important one, for dance is built on turns and feats of balance. These two exercises bring strength to the legs and to the body in general because of the balancing and the intake of air into the lungs while balancing. The body takes on a look of sturdiness, more now than at any previous time. This position exhibits the maximum strength and control. Now the entire body employing speed and at the same time the strictest control. This exercise begins to bring into play the quickness of movement which is vital to the development of a good jazz dancer. Now for another example of exercises worked into a dance combination. By themselves, they're not difficult, but put into a pattern, they require a good deal of coordination, concentration, and precision. Now for a look at some coordination exercises. See some floor exercises. They're intended to keep the dancer flexible and mentally responsive. In a moment, the group is going to do a series of dance combinations based on these floor exercises we've just seen. But first, the professor as performer. Matt Mattox in a dance he calls theme and anti-theme. now to give Matt Mattox and his dancers a necessary breather, a musical interlude from our trio, Meditation. we shall close with an introduction. Mr. Mattox has given this title to his final work today, for it is to serve as the opening number in his forthcoming dance concert. Matt Mattox and his group in Introduction.
Music for today's program was composed and arranged by Gene Casey.